Okay, this meeting of the Littleton Liquor Licensing Authority come to order. Would you call the roll, please, Rochelle?
Authority Member Gallagher.
I'm here.
Authority Member Bradish.
Present.
Authority Member Cole.
Here.
Authority Member Gunia. Authority Member Price. Authority Member England. Authority Member Odell.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum here. Donovan, you get to vote on all matters today since we're shorthanded. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
I make a motion we approve the minutes of our last meeting.
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? It passes. Motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And it passes. Next item on the list, item 8A, liquor licensing application hearing for Big Papa's Barbecue Incorporated, doing business as Big Papa's Barbecue at 5151 South Federal Boulevard.
Can't smell it.
We hope you like barbecue. A little closer. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the authority, staff, and council. For the record, I'm Robert Dill, appearing on behalf of Big Papa's Barbecue Incorporated, doing business as Big Papa's at 5151 Federal Boulevard. We are present, of course, and ready to proceed.
Please do.
Okay, I'd like to call as my first witness Mr. Frank Alfonso. Frank, would you come forward?
There may be an issue or a reference to any of the exhibits that we might put in. I'd like to have those admitted for the purpose of the hearing. They're form, but they also have contents that might be relevant to questioning.
Yes.
Mr. Katz, would you please speak into the microphone?
I'm hardly speaking at all. We'd like to offer exhibits A through E for the purpose of this hearing, and in case reference needs to be made to any of those while questioning any of the persons brought up to speak for the applicants. And we also have two persons who have signed on the hearing roster, which is going to be Exhibit F, which I believe we have both right here. So it has to add that. That's going to be the original, so it needs to be returned to the clerk after.
Okay. And we have a petition here, which is Exhibit E. Okay. Can I get a motion to accept these exhibits A through F?
I second.
No, I need a motion first.
I move that we accept the amendments
Okay.
for the exhibits.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, that passes too. Exhibits are accepted. Mr. Dill.
Thank you. Do we need to have Mr. Alfonso sworn?
No, we don't swear in this room.
All right, we won't swear. Frank, would you step on forward a little bit? Frank, for the record, would you please state your name?
Frank Anthony Alfonso.
And Frank, how are you currently employed?
I'm with Big Papa's Barbecue. I'm one of the principals as well as in operations.
And Frank, how long has the business been in operation at other locations?
We opened our first location on Evans Avenue, I believe it was June 14th, 04.
And is that in the city and county of Denver?
Correct.
And does that business have a liquor license?
Yes, it does.
Now, what type or style of license does it have?
It's a hotel restaurant, full license.
And does your company also have a license in Jefferson County on West Ken Carroll Street?
That's correct.
And does that business also have a liquor license?
That's correct.
And how long has that been in operation?
4 years last April.
And at either of these locations, has the company ever been held for or cited for a violation of state or local liquor?
No, sir.
Frank, would you tell us a little bit about the concept that Big Papa's has for doing business?
We're a what they call a fast casual barbecue restaurant. We serve a variety of smoked meats. We have a smoker. People come to the counter. It's very similar to Chipotle. Those are the existing two restaurants that we have. The new restaurant coming on Federal Avenue, we hope to have a full bar. We're going to build a bar down one side. It's an old Burger King right next to Dewey's American Grill.
Oh, okay.
And so we want to have more of a little bit stronger bar presence there, and so we're choosing to bar as opposed to the other two restaurants. It's, again, come to the counter, you're served your food at this, the new location. We will have a cocktail service overseen by a bartender specifically. So,
And Frank,
So just one question. If I were to get a plate and wanted a beer with that, then I would get that from the counter, or I'd have to go to the counter and then go to the bar?
have to go to either the bar or maybe perhaps during an off period, or a bartender would approach you at your table and ask.
So you will have table service as far as the alcohol is concerned? Okay.
Depending on volume, obviously.
And is that going to be by the bartender, or are you going to have other wait staff that can do that?
We will have cocktail service as well during some periods.
Frank, historically, what has been the ratio of alcoholic beverage sales to food sales?
In our restaurants right now, it's about a point, maybe a point and a half. We hope to increase it to what a full-service restaurant would be, which is about 10 points, 12 points.
Okay. So 10 to 12% of gross sales would be in the form of alcoholic beverages if those numbers hold true.
That's correct, liquor, beer, and wine.
All right. What would be the hours of operation of the business?
11 to approximately 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 12 a.m.
And how many employees do you intend to have at this location approximately?
25 to 30, maybe 35 tops.
And what sort of training would the employees receive as it relates to the service or sale of alcoholic beverages?
I think everybody's familiar with TIPS
Yes.
training, and this is what we do with our management staff. I've been through it. I've been in the business for over 30 years. I've been off and on at various agencies and locations. I've been trained in TIPS, something similar to that.
And what will be the company policy as it relates to checking for age identification of the persons that desire to be served?
Somebody looks older or about 35, that's usually the cutoff, 35 to 40 years old. I know that, I mean, everybody that drinks in Colorado has to have an ID that's in the bar, but you know, that would be the cutoff when we approach somebody.
So you probably wouldn't card anybody of this authority, huh?
Sorry, gentlemen. I don't want to be disrespectful, but no.
Okay.
Is there a patio plan for the restaurant, Frank?
That's correct.
And how large or how many seats roughly would the patio hold?
There's roughly 20 outside. There's probably 80 seats inside in the dining room.
Okay. And when do you expect to be open for business, assuming this proceeding goes well this evening?
We're shooting for the 1st to mid-September is when we'd like to open our doors.
Frank, are you familiar with the existing outlets that have liquor licenses in this area?
I'm familiar with a few in the area. Obviously, we talked about Dewey's, and there's a small pool hall, I guess, behind called the Break Room. South of us is the Toad Tavern, and that's really all I'm familiar with. I know there's many in Old Town Littleton, but I think we're in our location or in our vicinity, there's not much more than I've mentioned.
In your vicinity, is there any restaurant that has a concept that is similar to this fast casual barbecue?
No, sir.
What other foods besides barbecue do you have available at the?
Well, besides the smoked meats, we have a variety of salads. We'll be doing burgers. We're going to have a steak offered at the new location. We do catfish, fried catfish. It's mostly Southern comfort food is what we lend ourselves to, is our business model.
And why do you believe that this particular location needs a liquor license? What's your reasoning behind that?
It just would enhance our brand. It would make us more appealing to people that want to come in and have a cocktail with our barbecue. I grew up with barbecue and Budweiser. I'm a Bubba from North Florida, so it's a presence we'd like to have.
And has the company received a favorable response from the surrounding neighbors or residents in the area in terms of petitions that were circulated as it relates to this application?
Yes, sir. We were very quick to get, I think, 120 signatures. I think we got them all within an hour, pretty much. So.
And do you know how those were collected, Frank?
We had 3 of our managers petition in around Home Depot area. Somewhere else, I think it was a supermarket, King Supers in the area.
And did your staff make sure that each and every person who signed the petition was in fact a resident, owner, or manager of the neighborhood as defined by the city?
That's correct. We went around with a map that was provided for us with the boundaries, and we made sure that the addresses or within those boundaries for the signatures that we received.
And did you make sure that each and every person signed the petition in his or her own name and were over the age of 21 as well?
Yes, sir. There was IDs present for IDs that were collected, for the signatures collected.
All right. Maybe the chairman had a question about the petitions.
Yes, I do. On this first page here, these first two, or at least the first one for sure, 12,519 West Burgundy, that's not in the city of Littleton.
The Linda Maker,
Yes, more. And then the next one, 3960 West Radcliffe, I don't believe that's in the city either. .4760 South Wadsworth Boulevard is not in the city.
we would consent to having those stricken from the application as being not within the boundaries. And any other address.
Well, see, but I've got a problem with that.
Yes.
Okay? It's not up to us to verify the accuracy of these, but I see 1, 2, 3, 4, Airport Road, Sedalia, 6165 South Iliff, and I'm looking at 5 or 6 right off the bat that aren't in the city of Littleton. And yeah, I'm sorry, but it's not up to us to verify the addresses on this. As it looks right now, I cannot accept this petition.
All right. This particular one or all of them, because we have numbers.
Well, just that first page I looked at,
Well, there's one towards the bottom of the page that's in Arvada.
yeah, they're all over the area here, and it just, because you go to the store that's in the area, doesn't mean the people actually know where they live. I mean, we've had that come up on a number of occasions.
Can we,
of the locations. On the petition, it says, can they,
I think we need an identification if we're going to have testimony.
Let me introduce
We'll-
John Jensen. He's our Director of Operations for our company, and he kind of oversaw some
I
of this.
oversaw the managers, and I'm the one who actually wrote the script. And the petition actually reads that if the folks don't live but manage a business within those, within this area, within that map,
Well, then they should have put their business address, because they got a home and business address option here on this petition. Okay? But I mean, I would be remiss in my duties if I did accept this, so. Yeah, I'd like you to repetition and then come back.
can we ask you to go forward with the hearing this evening and then have
Contingent upon a valid petition?
Yes.
Mr. Katz, would that be within our scope of authority?
Well, the people who might be solicited, because I also don't see any of the people approached who declined or houses that were visited that there was no answer, so we don't have a lot of statistics we usually have. And so we don't know how many people might have chosen to be to appear here had they been contacted or made aware that this situation was going on when they were doing the solicitation. So
Mr. Katz, I'm not following you here.
what I'm thinking is, what I'm thinking out loud, basically, is that persons who might have chose to be here are, if they had been contacted for the solicitation, who are in the city, had they done more numbers or had proper addresses, might have chosen to appear. So I believe that we might be missing people who would want to have input into this hearing. Not that it's terribly likely, but it's possible. And so to break it up, they wouldn't be able to hear the total of the information today, and to bifurcate it might be to their disadvantage.
So you're telling me no?
I would recommend no.
Okay.
I think the premises were posted. I think that does, with all due respect, call for quite a bit of speculation as to whether they would or wouldn't show. I appreciate Mr. Katz's opinion. we'd be happy to come back at the next hearing as well.
Okay, and everything else looks in order, and I don't see, does anybody see an issue with this other than the petition?
Well, this
There
is
might
a-
be a couple questions on the layout of the patio or the fencing, but it does appear that the part that we would be inputting today could be input at another hearing in a very short time, because the paperwork does seem to be in compliance, and it is a recommendation, if the petition is favorable, to approve the license. So I don't think we lose much by setting it over the whole thing.
And I tend to agree. I don't think that this is going to be denied if we get a valid petition.
We can do that.
We could have that in a couple of days.
Well, but the issue is that we meet monthly, unless we have a special meeting, which,
There doesn't appear to be the necessity, if they're going to open by September, they have other work to do. Anticipate coming in compliance to get a license one way or another by that date. So unless there can be a showing of prejudice, I don't believe we'd have any reason for a special hearing at this time.
okay.
Understood. Can we ask the city, though, to consider allowing those signatures that are valid, that have been collected, in addition to gaining additional signatures?
I don't have a problem with allowing a valid signature on here.
Yes. We will go through an audit and strike any of those that we believe are not in the area, subject to the city's review, if any, and then resubmit additional signatures.
Well,
long as they
one
provide
thing
the
I've noticed
information.
about,
If I might point out that we did collect 120 over the 100 that we were asked to collect, just so we could have a buffer. Would it behoove us to scrutinize some of those addresses at this time? Possibly come in right at our 100 that we were asked to provide?
well, you have exactly 100% yes of all these signatures. I've gone through and looked at that. So if you eliminated everybody that was outside of the city of Littleton, you'd still have 100% yes.
But the issue is, would he have 100
Okay, it depends on how many.
houses? If you can go through that right now, we'll
I appreciate that, thank you.
give you a little recess to go and do that, because we do have other business.
I understand, thank you.
The-
Okay.
The one question I would
Yes?
have from the circulator is, how many people declined? How many people said they didn't have a preference? Those things seem to be, those quantities are absent. And to come up and ask, would you like to talk about this, even those are declinations under our petition situation, if they're doing it by walking up to people rather than houses. And we seem to be missing some of those statistics also. Not
That's
that
true.
They might not be crucial to your decision, but they do appear to be missing. And you'll scrutinize the audit procedure for the determination also.
That's true, I hadn't thought of that. And generally, Mr. Dill, I'm sure you know this, that generally when we petition, they go out and bang on doors, and rather than stay at the Home Depot parking lot and ask, et cetera. We've had other petitions before, in a case where somebody didn't want another liquor license in the area, and they just told all their customers to sign, whether they lived in Jefferson or Denver or Timbuktu. And at that point, we disallowed that particular petition.
I would,
I think that I got to agree with Mr. Katz. I'd feel more comfortable if you did take another petition and then came back next month, rather than just strike the ones that we have.
the police officer staffer for the hearing says he's already come up with 21.
Just on one page.
Just on one sheet? So there's 99 there,
Okay.
okay?
We will be happy to come back. Sorry for the confusion. We would apologize and ask that it be reset for your next regularly scheduled meeting.
And that's fine. Oh, yes, make a motion to withdraw Exhibits A through F. There's F. These are mine.
Second the motion.
Can I get a second to that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any
Okay.
objection by the potential licensee to withdraw the exhibits for filing
No.
next hearing?
No, we don't have an objection to that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sorry for the,
When is your next date?
The 8th of July.
The 8th of July? All right, that's fine. Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Next order of business. Broadway Wine and Liquor, doing business as Broadway Wine and Liquor, 7945 South Broadway. Please state your name, sir, for the record.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the authority. My name is Adam Stapen, S-T-A-P-E-N, a partner with the law firm of Dill, Carr, Stonebreaker, and Hutchings. We are obviously here in front of you on a violation, and we did enter into a stipulation with the city attorney.
Okay, very good. Mr. Katz, do you have a recommendation?
We just have a stipulation for an admission, and council's going to present the mitigation and the aggravating factors the authority can evaluate from the report itself. I think it's pretty self-explanatory on that issue. We did want to note that there was a favorable event that may or may not have been going to be brought up. It was when there was a sting, the last sting operation, they passed that and were sent a commendation letter by the authority.
Okay. Sir.
Thank you. Obviously, from the get-go, just so you know, with me is Isaac. I'm going to mispronounce your name, so why don't you pronounce it?
Yeah, I got it.
He is an owner of the entity that operates this liquor store. And in speaking with him and in getting to know him and getting to know the operation, I can tell you that obviously it was not their intention to sell alcohol to a minor. And just let me give you a background of him and his wife. It's a family-owned liquor store. They've owned it for 3.5 years. As the city attorney, Mr. Katz, has mentioned, there's not been a violation previously. In fact, they have condemnation. Thank you. They received a letter in January 20th of 2009, just this year, commending them for complying with a check, and then they've also complied with previous checks. Their background experience has been in other liquor stores, which I believe is the East Evans liquor store, where him and his wife both worked for 6 years or so, and in that capacity they did not receive a single violation either. They're both Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch tips trained, if you would, and they impart that same training to their employee, singular employee, who was the individual who made the sale of alcohol to the minor in this case. The individual is no longer with the company. The individual was fired as a result from making this sale. This is a unique situation we have here. This was not a compliance check. This was a police officer who saw a person who looked a little young walking into a liquor store. He followed him in, I believe, saw the transaction was about to take place, and essentially stopped it in midstream or allowed it to take place, and there was a sale. My client Isaac went to the criminal hearing with his employee and saw the individual, and he will tell you, if you ask him the question, that he would not have sold the alcohol to this person. He would have asked for an identification. The reason why the alcohol was sold without asking for identification was because apparently this individual, the employee, said that this person was irregular. And what leads me to believe, and I'm surmising here, we don't know the facts or not, my client and his wife did not ID this person or never sold alcohol to this person. I'm surmising that based on the compliance checks previously in which we passed, on all 3 or 4 years that we've been in business and one recently, that we do check identifications. That at one point in time, this individual did present an identification that was valid and of age. I think that's just, you can deduct that from the pattern of passing each and every compliance check that has taken place previously. And the experience of 6 years in the business without a single violation. So where are we now? Essentially what we've done on behalf of the licensee is now we ID everybody. As a result of this taking place, everyone is ID'd, and if you have any questions of Isaac, he'll tell you first and foremost that even people of your stature are being ID'd, and in fact, he has had complaints about, why are you IDing me? Don't you see I'm old enough for an ID? And he's like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing to prevent this from happening again on any level. Another preventative measure, they have not rehired another employee. It's still him and his wife. And as we all know, owner-occupiers, with the experience that they have everything at stake. And they're not the ones that made the sale. They're here hiring an attorney, coming down in front of you and seeking to address the situation, not making excuses, but finding a way to not have it happen again. So where are we on this? We are asking that we understand that there is a penalty. We understand there's going to be a suspension, and we're asking for your consideration when you decide to do so. In this instance here, and given the economy in which we all live in, a liquor store that goes dry for even a day is tough, very tough, especially when we have a licensee that has complied, has received letters of commendation from this city in compliance checks, and whose employee who did it was fired. And they have no other employees there, so the odds of this happening again is very low. I do understand that we have to have public policy, and public policy is not, we're not going to let you off without giving you something. I would submit to you that if we talk about a penalty phase in this case, we're looking at maybe 3 to 5 days, of which all could be held in abeyance. You're essentially letting him know that we have this hammer over your head. We understand that, heaven forbid, if this happens again, the leniency is gone. We understand at this point you have your entire career, if you would, without a violation, that you're in front of us now, and we acknowledge the severity of what transpired, and we acknowledge that it cannot happen again. So I'd ask that when you consider this, if you would, and I do have the letter, if you'd like to see it. I mean, the city attorney.
That's my autograph on that letter.
Yeah,
That's your autograph?
in this case. eyes.
Well, then you understand that, what it means when someone passes, and it's required each and every time, and each and every time that this city has gone in, it has happened, except for this one instance where I can only surmise that an ID was checked at one point in time, but my client and the principals did not ever sell alcohol to this individual. They saw him and said, nope, we don't recognize him, have never sold alcohol to him. If we did see him, we would ask for his ID. So I offer Isaac up to you if you have any questions of him. Otherwise, I reiterate, we apologize. It's not our intent to sell alcohol to a minor. This is a family-run store. They take this very seriously. The employee was fired, and we have a stellar record of the owner-occupiers, that's all they're going to be now, passing each and every compliance check that has been in front of them. So with that, I ask that if you impose days, that the days be held in abeyance for a period of 1 year.
Okay. Mr. Katz?
I'd like to move to admit exhibits A and C, which I believe you have.
No, they don't have copies of them.
I don't have them.
Okay, and we're going to add E, which is going to be the history, for the purposes of this hearing. And then I believe you have some acknowledgement from the licensee and admission that the facts in the police report or in the staff report are in fact accurate before you go further to make the motion, whether you're going to find a violation, and then to weigh the aggravating and mitigating factors. And you could weigh those through discussion, or you can weigh those also by discussing the issues with the licensee.
Okay. I need a motion to accept exhibits A through D.
So moved.
Second to that.
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? No opposition. Okay. Sir, Mr. Isaac, and I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce your last name. I remember you from when you applied for the license. We couldn't pronounce it then, and I can't do it now. So I understand that you fired the guy. I do have one problem with your statement, sir, Mr. Stapen, is that the transaction did take place.
And
Okay, it wasn't as it was about to, it did take place. Okay.
Exactly. And I'm sorry if I misspoke on that.
Yeah, right. You've laid this guy off, you fired this guy, it's just you and your wife are going to be running the store now?
Yes,
Okay.
until I got another new guy. I mean, I'm looking somebody who's a little older guy. I don't want
Okay.
young guys.
Make sure he knows the difference between the the vertical ID and the horizontal ID?
Yes,
You know what the difference is, don't you?
know that. I trained them. I never got any tickets since almost
Okay.
10 years I worked
With that vertical ID, what does that mean?
as underage.
Okay, very good. You realize, of course, and you've mentioned it, but I need to reiterate that this is a very serious violation. So many things can happen with an underage person drinking alcohol, car crashes, not only to the underage person, to other innocent bystanders, et cetera, insurance rates, everything that can happen because of this is bad. So we just can't have this happening. I look at your record, it looks good. I know that you haven't been here before us in the past. You did pass the sting, which is a good thing.
Thank you.
But it doesn't necessarily give you a get-out-of-jail-free card type of thing, you know what I'm saying? It's very serious, and I feel that there needs to be some sort of punishment, nothing that's going to put you in the hole for the rest of you, or put you out of business or anything, but we need to get your attention. In addition to what I feel would be a decent suspension, we will have some other days that will be held in abeyance in case this or any other infraction happens again. So in the future, you're going to have to mind your P's and Q's about how you do business. And as you've been doing here and as it shows here, that shouldn't be a problem for you because you got a good record up until this point here.
I have a couple questions, if I may.
Sure.
If you do hire another employee, what are your intentions for the training methods that you're going to use with that employee?
Would you speak into the microphone, please?
First of all, I'm going to train the person at least 1 week in the cash register. Second, I'm going to buy a machine which checks the ID, the machine. I'm going to buy that one.
When are you planning to buy the machine?
I'm ready, but I'm working, me and my wife. I didn't have a time.
Yeah.
Even we opened 7 days,
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
So after, would you be in a position to notify the authority when you've hired someone and be able to get that machine in place during the training period that you're training them on the cash register before you let them work alone?
Yes, I'm going to do that.
Okay, this machine you're talking about, you're talking about a cash register, or you're talking about an identification machine?
Identification.
Okay, I've seen those. Those are very,
Yeah.
very good tool.
Yes, very good tools. Because some other place, even though they have the normal ID, there are some fake ID.
Yes, I understand
Yeah,
that.
That's why personally I refuse service for those guys. I got so many orders, bad orders for me. Sometimes they told me, go to your home.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Are you operating any other businesses at this time?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing else.
Anybody in authority have anything?
Sir, how long, the employee that you terminated over this, how long was this person employed with you in total?
Yeah, he used to work part-time, most of the time weekend.
How long did he work for you? I mean, how many years did he work for you?
Oh, almost,
Weeks, months, years?
Almost 2 years.
2 years.
Almost 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Thank you.
The only problem I have is the fact that the individual that did the purchase admitted the fact that he had bought from your establishment, 8 or 10 times. It's not just a case of just one time. That kind of bothers me quite a bit. The circumstances of it, where this individual was comfortable enough to just keep coming back, that kind of bothers me some.
And that as well bothers me too, John.
I did want to, I think there was something that maybe got swallowed up in the testimony, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but it's my understanding that the owners never transacted business with this individual, so that actually the person who sold it to him the first time, who became the regular with that person, actually targeted that clerk as opposed to just coming in and taking a chance that the place would just sell to him as a regular.
And that is correct.
I don't know how much that mitigates the circumstance, but I wouldn't find the person, the underage person, to be taking such a risk as to just go in anytime. It does appear.
It looks like he was waiting for the other gentleman who was on duty.
For the person who he knew and the person he could talk to like he was a friend.
Mr. Katz, do you know if the individual who purchased the alcohol was given a citation for minor in possession?
He was.
He was, okay.
And just so you know, that's where Isaac saw him. When they went down to the courthouse, he was there along with his employee. They had, I think, the same return date at the courthouse. That's when he saw him and said, I've never seen him before.
Yes, and he pled guilty to the charge because he had done it repeatedly.
Well, yeah, he admitted it too, so.
And he was available to testify as to his conduct, but because of the stipulation to the facts of the report, his attendance wasn't necessary here tonight.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion from the authority? All right, let me step back. I move the authority find that Broadway Wine Liquor Incorporated doing business as Broadway Wine and Liquor, 7945 South Broadway, Littleton, Arapahoe County, Colorado, did violate Colorado Revised Statute 12-47-9011A. Based on said findings, I move that Broadway Wine and Liquor doing business as Broadway Wine and Liquor, 7945 South Broadway liquor license be suspended for 5 days with 4 days held in abeyance, and that notice of such suspension be posted in and outside the licensed premise in accordance with Liquor Code Regulation 47600F, and that the suspension begin on, I don't have a calendar with me. What date is, would Sunday be a better day?
What's the best day of the week?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays. How many days?
Just one day.
One day? Okay, Sunday.
Sunday? Can we, what would be the, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after? The 21st? To that, the suspension began on June 21st, 2009. The 4 days that are being held in abeyance will be held in abeyance for 1 year from this date. And I think that that's a pretty decent settlement for all involved. I'll entertain a second on that.
I second.
Before you vote, I just ask if you would raise the issue, if is there any discussion by the other members of the authority on the motion prior to going to the vote?
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Discussion then is closed. It's going to a vote.
Would you poll the authority, please, Rochelle?
Authority Member Gallagher?
Yes.
Authority Member Bradish?
Yes.
Authority Member Cole?
Yes.
Authority Member England?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Odell.
I'm sorry.
All right, thank you so much, and please don't come back.
Nope.
Okay?
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, very good.
Okay. Next item, nothing.
Adjournment.
Any general business, any reports from the staff? Mr. Katz, nothing, Rochelle?
Mr. Katz has been.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Katz, you have anything to report?
I have not had any new reports other than the ones previously sent over of any significance.
You said something last month about you were getting more information on it.
Sergeant Boland, do you have anything to report? Okay. Authority members? Chairman has nothing. We're adjourned.